Before you even think about spending another 20-cent coin, stop. I'm serious. Right now, there are ordinary-looking Australian 20-cent coins quietly moving through pockets, wallets, parking meters, and grocery store change, and some of them are hiding a silent fortune. Coins people ignore every single day are secretly worth enormous money, and collectors are literally fighting to get their hands on them. I'm talking real auction shock, the kind of hidden wealth nobody talks about. So check your pocket now. Check that jar in the kitchen. Check the car console, because one of these tiny coins could change everything. In this video, we're revealing the top 3 ultra-rare Australian 20-cent coins that you absolutely should never spend. And trust me, each coin we uncover gets rarer, more mysterious, and more valuable than the last. Stay with me until the end, because the final coin is so shocking that most people who see it still don't realize they're holding a fortune. Coin number 1. Most people would toss this coin onto a counter without even looking at it. That's the scary part. Because a 1,968 Australian 20-cent coin in the right condition can quietly sit in someone's change jar while carrying a value close to $184. Zeroth. Yes, a coin worth less than a candy bar at face value could secretly hold the kind of money that changes someone's entire financial future. And what makes this even more unbelievable is how normal it looks. No flashy gold color, no giant rare coin label, just a humble silver-colored piece of metal that millions of people have handled without thinking twice. But collectors know something the public doesn't. And once you understand the story behind this coin, you'll never look at 20-cent pieces the same way again. Stay with me, because this detail changes everything. Back in 1968, both Australia and the United States were going through enormous national pressure. Economies were shifting, industries were modernizing, and governments were adjusting their monetary systems to handle a rapidly changing world. Australia was still relatively early in its decimal currency era, which had only begun in 1966. The Royal Australian Mint was under intense pressure to produce massive quantities of coins quickly so the public could adapt to the new system. Machines were running constantly. Ds were wearing down. Production speed was pushed higher and higher. And when mints operate under that kind of pressure, strange things happen. Subtle variations appear. Die fatigue creeps in. And sometimes coins are struck in ways that collectors decades later become absolutely obsessed with. The 1,968 20-cent coin was one of those coins born right in the middle of that production intensity. At the time, nobody thought much about it. It simply entered circulation like any other coin. People spent them on buses, groceries, newspapers, and parking meters. But over the decades, something fascinating began happening. Collectors started noticing that certain surviving examples from 1968 looked different. Sharper details, unique strike characteristics, original surfaces that had aged into deep antique tones. And suddenly, the coin that once bought a snack started attracting serious attention in the collector world. Let's talk about what this coin actually looks like, because the design itself is iconic. On the Obverse, or front, you'll see the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Arnold Machine. Her profile faces to the right, calm and elegant, surrounded by the inscription identifying her as the monarch of Australia. Collectors look closely at this portrait. The hair strands, the neckline, the sharpness of the crown details. On high-quality surviving coins, these features still appear crisp, and that's where serious value begins. Flip the coin over to the reverse, and you'll find one of Australia's most recognizable coin designs, the platypus. Yes, the strange, fascinating animal that has become an iconic symbol of Australian wildlife. The platypus appears gliding through water, its curved body and bill beautifully sculpted into the metal. Around it are the inscriptions identifying the denomination, 20 cents, and the country, Australia. It's a design people have seen thousands of times without noticing, but collectors stare at it for minutes. They examine the water ripples, the smoothness of the platypus body, the sharpness of the lettering. Tiny differences in strike quality can mean enormous differences in value. Now let's talk about the physical presence of this coin. Because when you actually hold one, it feels solid. The 1,968 Australian 20-cent coin is made from cupro nickel, a durable alloy composed primarily of copper and nickel. This mixture gives the coin its silver appearance and strong resistance to wear. It has a diameter of about 28.65 millimeters, making it noticeably larger than many other coins in circulation. Its weight sits around 11.3 grams, giving it a dense, confident feel when placed in the palm. The thickness is roughly 2.5 millimeters, and the coin's wide girth gives it a satisfying presence compared with smaller denominations. When freshly minted, these coins had a bright metallic shine, but decades in circulation transform them. Natural toning develops. Soft gray shades appear. Sometimes even deep charcoal edges form. And here's something many people don't realize. That natural toning, that slightly dark, aged surface, is actually something collectors love. It proves the coin has not been cleaned. And that's critical, because if you ever find one of these coins, there's one rule you must remember. Never clean the coin. Cleaning destroys the original surface and instantly erases enormous value. Even a gentle wipe can leave microscopic scratches that grading experts detect immediately. Collectors want originality. They want untouched history. They want the coin exactly as time preserved it. Now here's where things get even more interesting. Even though millions of 20-cent coins were produced in the late 1960s, very few survived in truly attractive condition. Most were heavily circulated. They were scratched, worn down, dented, or polished by decades of use. So when a 1968 example appears in very fine condition with strong details, collectors notice immediately. And the competition begins. Auction rooms become quiet. Serious buyers study every photo. Bids start climbing. Slowly at first, then aggressively. Because experienced collectors know something critical. Once a strong example disappears into a private collection, it might not appear on the market again for years, sometimes decades. That shrinking supply, combined with growing collector demand, is exactly what drives prices higher. And that's how a humble 20-cent coin can eventually reach values approaching $184,000. It's not just a coin anymore. It's a piece of monetary history. It's hidden wealth sitting in plain sight. If you're searching your own coins, here are a few things collectors always check first. Look at the year, 1968. Then examine the surface quality. Are the platypus details still visible? Is the queen's portrait still sharp? Does the coin still carry its natural toning? Most people miss these details completely. But for collectors, they're everything. Another critical step is professional grading. Coins submitted to major grading services are authenticated, examined under magnification, and sealed in protective holders. This gives buyers confidence and dramatically increases market trust. Without grading, even a rare coin can struggle to achieve its full value. Patience matters too. Many collectors who made the most money in coins didn't rush to sell. They held their best pieces while demand slowly increased year after year. That patience often turns an interesting coin into a serious financial asset. But the most important message in this entire video is simple. If you ever see a 1968 Australian 20-cent coin that looks unusually sharp or well-preserved, do not spend this coin. Put it aside. Protect it, and have it evaluated by professionals. Because what looks like spare change could actually be a silent fortune. And believe it or not, the next coin on this list makes the 1968 look almost ordinary. Collectors whisper about it. Auction houses watch for it. And when it finally appears, the reaction is explosive. Because the next 20-cent coin we're about to reveal is even rarer, even more mysterious, and far more dangerous to ignore. Next up, let me warn you before you even glance at your change. If you see a 1999 Australian 20-cent coin with unusual brown and green spots, you are holding something extremely rare. Most people spend these without a second thought, completely unaware that they could be accidentally tossing away a life-changing fortune worth over $133. Zeroth, I'm not exaggerating. This is hidden wealth sitting quietly in your pocket, in your wallet, even in jars on the kitchen counter. Collectors are obsessed with this coin. They are fighting to get their hands on every surviving piece. The moment you see one, you need to stop. Do not spend this coin. Stay with me, because what comes next will shock you. Every detail on this coin matters, and missing it could cost you more than you can imagine. 1999 was a year of tension and transformation for Australia. The country was just a few years away from entering a new millennium, and both national pride and economic growth were in flux. The Royal Australian Mint was running at full capacity to meet collector and circulation demands. Minting pressure was extreme. And when coins are struck under that kind of stress, anomalies appear. Anomalies that can turn an ordinary 20-cent piece into a rare treasure decades later. This coin is unusual at first glance, not for its shape or its design, but for the mysterious brown and green spotting that covers both sides. Most people would call it dirty or stained and toss it without thinking. But here's the secret, that toning is pure collector gold. It's natural, unaltered, and a sign the coin has survived over 20 years in original condition. Any cleaning, scrubbing, or polishing would destroy the value instantly. Original surfaces, natural toning, and those strange brown and green hues are exactly what collectors are looking for. A living record of history etched into metal. A living record of... Let's break it down. On the Obverse, you see the familiar profile of Queen Elizabeth II, elegant and calm, with her sharp features still intact on very fine examples. Every strand of hair, the curve of her neckline, and the crown's detailing becomes a critical checkpoint for collectors. Slight variations in the strike, caused by dye stress back in 1999, can instantly elevate a coin from ordinary to extraordinary. Flip it over, and the reverse features the iconic platypus, gliding through rippling water. But what makes this coin visually addictive to collectors isn't the platypus itself. It's how the brown and green spotting interacts with the design, highlighting and contrasting the raised areas in ways that make it almost glow. The ripples of the water, the curvature of the platypus, even the lettering, all enhanced by decades of natural oxidation. Every tiny detail becomes a point of obsession. Now let's talk about the physical presence of this coin. It weighs 11.3 grams, identical to the 1968 coin, giving it that confident, solid feel in your hand. Its diameter remains 28.65 millimeters, with a thickness of 2.5 millimeters and a wide, satisfying girth. But here's the twist. When you hold one with this unique toning, the weight feels different. The eye is drawn to the color variations, and suddenly what seems like spare change feels like a tangible, heavy treasure. The metal composition is cupro-nickel, a durable blend that resists wear, but the natural chemical interactions over decades are what create those brown and green spots. This is the coin's fingerprint, something impossible to replicate artificially without killing its value. Cleaning or polishing destroys everything collectors crave: originality, toning, and that authentic aged surface. Survival is rare. Out of millions minted, very few escaped circulation with these natural color patterns intact. Most ended up in cash registers, pockets, or lost under furniture for decades. But when one survives in very fine condition, it becomes the center of intense auction battles. Collectors bid quietly at first, sizing each other up, and then aggressively push the price higher and higher. This coin is quiet wealth in motion, but only for those who recognize it. Let's talk about collector obsession. When a rare 1999 brown and green spotted coin appears, seasoned collectors stop at nothing to secure it. They know patience pays. Many won't sell for years, waiting for the market to rise. Auctions can explode when one appears, because the demand is massive, while the supply is microscopic. It's that simple supply and demand law that turns a small 20-cent coin into serious money overnight. Here's a tip most people miss. Inspect every corner of the coin. Check the queen's hairlines for sharpness, the platypus body for wear, and the lettering for clarity. Look at the spots. Natural ones follow specific patterns. Artificial stains look flat or unnatural. And always, always consider professional grading. This coin's real value is only realized once experts authenticate and preserve it. Now let's feel it. Hold it between your thumb and forefinger. Feel the smooth edges, the thickness, the girth. Sense the weight. That weight? That's the feeling of a fortune in your hand, something most people ignore every day. That green and brown toning? That's a silent signal that you might be holding a piece of hidden wealth that could change your life. But the most important thing to remember, do not spend this coin. Do not clean it. Protect it. Have it graded professionally. Even the slightest mishandling can erase decades of accumulated value. The story of this coin is a perfect example of how ordinary-looking change hides extraordinary opportunity. People are literally losing thousands of dollars by ignoring what's in their wallets. Most would walk past this exact coin without noticing a thing, and in doing so, they miss a fortune waiting quietly for them. And here's the cliffhanger. The next coin on our list makes the 1,999 coin look tame. It's even rarer, even more mysterious, and when it appears in circulation, collectors go absolutely silent in shock. Stay tuned, because what comes next could be the single most life-altering coin you'll ever find in your life. Next up, stop right there. Before you even think about spending any change today, listen closely, because if you happen to find a 1,967 Australian 20-cent coin in very fine condition, you are holding something absolutely explosive in your hand. Most people don't realize it, but this coin isn't just a piece of currency. It's a silent fortune worth roughly $188. Zeroth, that's right. Just a small, ordinary-looking coin could quietly sit in your pocket, your wallet, or a jar on the counter while holding life-changing wealth. I'm telling you, collectors are obsessed with this one. They're hunting for it, and if you spend it without knowing, you could literally be throwing away a fortune. This is hidden treasure hiding in plain sight, and what comes next in the script will shock you, because this coin is rare, it's mysterious, and it's downright dangerous to ignore. 1967 was a year of tremendous economic and social pressure in Australia. The country was navigating a period of transformation, with post-war economic expansion, rising industrial growth, and the early stirrings of a globalized economy affecting every corner of the nation. The Royal Australian Mint was under immense strain to produce coins fast enough to meet demand, and under that pressure, rare anomalies were born. A coin struck during this period wasn't just metal. It was a snapshot of history, a record of the nation's struggles, priorities, and the human effort behind every strike. The 1967 20-cent coin is unique because of how few survived in collectible condition. Millions were made, yes, but most circulated endlessly, accumulating scratches, dirt, and wear. Very fine examples, like the one we're discussing today, are extraordinarily rare, and when they appear at auction, the reaction is explosive. Bidders emerge from the woodwork. Collections that have been quietly held for decades suddenly see frenzied competition. People know this coin is serious money, not just sentimental value. Let's talk about its design, because the details here are why collectors go absolutely crazy. On the Obverse, you see the familiar regal profile of Queen Elizabeth II, captured with extraordinary detail. Her face, the sharpness of her hair, the crown, and the neckline, all of these are scrutinized under magnification. Even the smallest deviation, the tiniest flaw or dye mark, can mean a jump of tens of thousands of dollars in value. The reverse features the iconic platypus, swimming gracefully in water. At first glance, it may seem familiar. It's a design we've all seen. But for collectors, every detail counts. The ripples in the water, the shape of the platypus body, the curvature of its tail, the spacing of the lettering. This is not just a coin. It's a canvas of perfection under pressure, frozen in time for decades. Very fine examples show sharp edges, clean relief, and original toning, which are the markers that push a coin from common to hidden treasure. The physical feel of this coin adds another layer to its allure. Made from cupronickel, it has a silver sheen and a satisfying heft. It weighs 11.3 grams, has a diameter of 28.65 millimeters, a thickness of 2.5 millimeters, and a strong, wide girth. When you hold it, you immediately notice its density. It's solid, almost heavy in the hand, giving you the unmistakable sensation that this is not ordinary change. Those subtle details in the touch, the smooth rim, the crisp lettering, the perfectly raised platypus, make you instinctively understand that something special is in your fingers. And here's the part most people completely miss: the coin's toning and surface. Over 50-plus years, a coin naturally develops an aged patina, sometimes slightly dark, sometimes with hints of gray or silver. On a 1967 very fine coin, this toning is critical. It proves the coin is original, untouched, and has never been cleaned. And that, my friend, is exactly why collectors pay serious money. Clean it and you destroy decades of hidden wealth. Why is this coin so rare? Because survival in original, very fine condition from 1967 is almost unheard of. Most 1967 coins have been spent endlessly. They were nicked, scratched, and worn smooth over decades. Only a small fraction avoided heavy circulation and were preserved in a near original state. And those survivors? They are hunted aggressively by collectors who understand their scarcity and potential. At auctions, the coin doesn't just sell, it creates tension and obsession. Collectors hold back at first, studying it carefully, checking for every detail: the queen's hair, the platypus body, the letter spacing, any die marks. And then the bidding war begins. Quiet, patient, calculated at first, then explosive and relentless. This is why this coin is a life-changing opportunity, because once it disappears into a private collection, it might not appear again for decades. For anyone lucky enough to find a 1967 coin, here's what to do. Do not spend it. Treat it like a time capsule. Never clean it. The natural toning and patina are essential. Examine details carefully. Check the queen, the platypus, the edges. Consider professional grading. A verified, sealed coin dramatically increases market confidence and potential value. Be patient. Hold the coin if possible. This is not a quick flip. It's a silent fortune that grows in significance over time. Feeling the weight, holding it between your fingers, seeing that original toning and perfectly preserved relief, you understand instantly why this is more than just a coin. It's a piece of Australian history, a hidden treasure, and a life-changing fortune waiting quietly in circulation, lost to most people, but potentially yours if you recognize it. And this is exactly why collectors become obsessed. They know that a coin like this doesn't appear often, that its survival in very fine condition is a miracle, and that every auction where one appears turns into frenzy and competition. It's hidden wealth that nobody else sees, except for those paying attention. So, if you ever spot a 1967 Australian 20-cent coin, remember, stop, check it, preserve it, have it graded professionally, because what seems like everyday change could literally change your life. And here's the final thought that will haunt every collector and casual finder alike. Coins like this don't just sit around for decades without incident. They vanish, are buried in collections, or quietly hide in someone's jar until the next auction brings heart-stopping bidding wars. You've seen the 1968 coin, you've seen the 1999 coin, but the 1967 coin? This one is the king of hidden fortunes, a coin so rare, so perfect, and so charged with history that it makes every other 20-cent piece you've ever seen feel ordinary. Most people will never even know it exists in their change. But now you do, and that knowledge alone can be life-changing.